So first of all, this is the Citizens Network of Protection. We are a 501c3 based out of Evanston, Illinois, and our goals are to promote racial and economic justice within the legal system, preventing government overreach and abuse by law enforcement, and upholding the civil rights of our community. One of our goals is to identify stakeholders within the community that can build these alliances to actively promote our mission. Tonight, we have Juneitha Shambee. She is one of our police commissioners and for the Citizens Police Review Commission. So I'd like to really quickly tell everyone what that is if you are not familiar with it. Citizens Police Review Commission started off as 79019 and was passed last October. It was codified in January 1st of 2020. Mayor Haggerty, about, Juneitha, you might have to remind me on this, maybe 3 weeks ago, he appointed the 9 commissioners to this review commission. Their purpose is, there's 4 bullet points. It is to promote public confidence in professionalism and accountability of the City of Evanston Police Department through unbiased review of the investigations of citizen complaints and offering thoughtful policy recommendations. They also are here to add a citizen perspective to the evaluation of citizen complaints, to provide a timely, fair, objective review of citizens' complaints in a matter in which they're investigated, and finally, to provide systematic means to achieve continuous improvement in citizen and police interactions. And that's what the Citizens Police Review Commission that was currently established is out to do. So for tonight, we are here with 4th Ward Commissioner Juneitha Shambee. She is a lawyer in Evanston, and thank you so much for coming out here and talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So to get started, we kind of just want to basically just get to know you a little bit. So how long you've been an Evanston resident? Did you go through our school system? Kind of tell us a little bit.
So I did not go through the school system. I'm actually a product of the CPS. All of my schooling was done in Chicago.
Okay.
And so from kindergarten to, I would say, to undergrad, I did my law school out in DeKalb. Yeah. So I've been in Evanston for quite some time. I permanently moved to Evanston in 2007. And I've been there ever since. I actually had my son, he went through the Evanston school system.
Okay.
And he's now currently a rising sophomore, I guess I should say, at ETHS.
Great.
As you did say, I am an attorney. I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing since 2012, and I have been in Evanston. I've had my own firm in Evanston since 2014. I decided to kind of get out early on my own. So I practiced for another firm for a couple of years before I actually went at it myself.
Well, what kind of law do you practice?
Currently, I am primarily practicing in criminal defense, family law, various areas of family law, as well as practicing in civil rights. I just started with my civil rights practice area. And so I've been very fortunate so far to be able to practice on my own this amount of time, as well as picking up several perspectives during my practice. Also making sure that I've been lasting myself in my field.
Okay. What kind of civil rights cases, can you tell us about one that you're working right now? Is anything of interest?
Some of the areas I work in are in excessive force cases.
Okay.
I work in some discrimination cases as well. I can't tell, obviously I can't tell you the particulars of it.
Of course, right.
But I'm doing that at the federal and state level.
Okay. So couple of tough questions that are still fairly easy and would be, do you have any relatives that are in the law enforcement industry, either as lawyers, like prosecutors, defense attorneys, that kind of thing, police officers, correctional officers, probation officers? Do you have any relationships in the family?
Actually, I do. My younger sister is a CPD. She's
Okay,
been a CPD for the past 3 years.
okay, great. Um, so in your time in Evanston, and this can be elsewhere within Cook County, have you ever had any, what you would believe are negative interactions with the police department?
I can say that I have not, fortunately. Um, I'm pretty much that type of person that I'm in and out of places. I'm back and forth. There's very little interaction. Um, I've seen a lot of the police, through my various court dealings and things like that. As for myself, I haven't had a negative interaction with them, but I have had people come to me to tell me what their interactions were like with the various police forces, including EPD.
Now that kind of leads into my next question, which is, why did you decide to apply to be a commissioner?
So I've gone to a lot of meetings in Evanston, and I've heard a lot of the citizens' comments. And also, I deal in this area of law where I do criminal defense. I practice criminal defense, and so I've seen instances where there has been some overzealousness by some police officers.
Mhm.
And I think that is crucial if we're going to work as a community. I think it's crucial that we work together, that we're heard as citizens with the police, because the police work for us. And so I want to make sure that citizen voices are heard. And so that when this commission opened up, I was extremely excited about it. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And then also when I had the opportunity to apply, I couldn't pass up that opportunity.
Now, I got to ask, because I did apply. When did you hear about it and make the choice to apply? Obviously, I had my ear to the ground since this was 79019, but I didn't actually apply until March. So I'm just curious, when did you end up putting in your application?
I applied some time ago. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but I did apply some time ago. Honestly, I knew that it was going to be a tough decision. I didn't think that I was going to actually be one of the applicants that were actually appointed to the position. I remember some time ago, there was something like it some years ago. There was something akin to this commission that was with the city of Evanston. And I also applied for that one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't chosen for that one. So there was no way I thought I was going to be chosen for this one. But when I heard of the opportunity, I just jumped at it.
All right, second time's a charm, I guess, right?
I
That's
guess
great.
so.
um, so there are some questions that I think Betty and Carlos might want to ask. There are something, two kind of easy questions I'm still curious about. One of the things that is in the current commission is they talk about a reasonable period of time to hear a case and to ultimately come to a decision. To me, that's less than 120 days. I want to have it done quickly. Do you have an opinion on what a reasonable period of time is before a complaint to be heard, reviewed, and then sent to you for final review?
Obviously, we want to give each complaint the attention that it needs, and to thoroughly investigate it. I can't say what that reasonable time is, because each case is going to be different. Each complaint is going to be different, and they're each going to need a different amount of attention to it. I just know that as for me, I would want to have that citizen's complaint resolved fairly quickly, as quickly as possible once it comes across our commission.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I believe that trust is built in a timely fashion. And so the faster these can be processed, the better trust that we can build in the community. Now, a last question before I volley off to Carlos and Betty was going to be, one thing that we noticed with the commission is that the commission is designed to only hear cases that are being brought via citizen complaint. While you know that's good, we CNP kind of believes any use of force report should be reviewed by a commission, an independent body to review these complaints. Do you feel that the scope maybe of this organization's commission should be widened a little bit to review all cases of use of force and not just ones that come via citizen complaint?
I think that whatever comes before us, we're going to give thorough thought and care to. How that complaint comes to us. Again, I can't say whether one way is better or not, but I just know that I'm looking forward to really putting in a thought process for any complaint that comes across our commission.
Okay. Betty or Carlos?
Carlos, could you ask your question right now? Want to connect somebody to it. They didn't have the right number. So if you would ask your question, I would appreciate it. And I can come back in a few minutes.
And in the meantime, please feel free to add your questions to the chat below. We're going to have a couple minutes dedicated to that as well.
Right.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Attorney Shambee. Congratulations and welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
My concern is, having served on the Police Advisory Board, that this is just another organization for discussion with no meaningful solutions that will assist the citizens of Evanston. I am not optimistic about anything that your organization will be able to do to change the systematic racism in this community. But I am willing to work with you because on previous times on the advisory board, when we brought the complaints to the police, very seldom were they ever dealt with. When we applied for FOIA requests, they have not been responded to. And other times we've tried to work in a meaningful way, cooperatively with the police and the citizens of Evanston. We've only met marginalization and just totally being ignored. So I hope that this 9-member commission will at least have the ability to listen to the complaints and in some way make some advisory. I know you have no power to implement any change of policies of the police department because of their agreement with the federal Fraternal Order of Police. But we have several serious problems with large numbers of minority students being overly stopped and frisked, traffic stops, that statistical information shows that our community is over-policed rather than protected. Thank you.
Now, Betty?
Well, was kind of waiting to hear her response to what Carlos had asked her. I know she talked about the time and everything. Have you been given your time frame and list of training material that you will be going through to get ready for the commission?
We're in a process of meeting actually this week, and I encourage everyone to tune in to the meetings. Of course, they're always open to all the citizens. That's what we're here for. We're here to speak on your behalf. And I'm sure that once we meet, all of that will be revealed fairly clearly.
Okay.
So, you know, we were talking previously at the start of this, and you were telling me that you still haven't even met the other commissioners. And so your first, your inaugural meeting is this week.
Yes, we'll have our first meeting this week.
When is it?
I don't have the time directly on me, but yeah, I know that it's gonna that it should be posted fairly soon.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this commission deploys. If Betty or Carlos, if you don't have any questions to ask, I have two other questions I want listed, and then I want to kind of start answering questions that our community might have. So please go ahead.
Okay, one of the things that I wanted to know, you kind of alluded to, was the question, how in the being chosen for the committee and looking at the requirements and things that people had talked about being on the different committees and stuff, is that the committee should not have people with law enforcement or law enforcement individuals on the committees. And right now we're looking at USO has a relative, uh, and then there's two officers on the committee. So how do you feel in rectifying that with the community? How do you feel that you will be able to alleviate the apprehensions or concern that the citizens might have, that your views would be more leaning towards the police officers and stuff and what they do?
Well, I don't think there needs to be any sort of any rectifying going on. I think that having different perspectives come to the table to deal with an issue would be a more open solution as opposed to having a one-sided decision. And so I think having someone from having people from different walks of life with different experiences come together to come up with the best solution for each citizen. And again, like I said, this will be revealed in all the meetings. I think that we're going to get more well-rounded solutions as well, and the community will see that we are working on their behalf, as well as making sure that those relationships with the police are built.
Okay. The other commission that was board that just was set go, they just started close to the end of their terms as being holding open meetings and things. So are you open to your meetings and discussion of the review board process to be done in an open meeting form?
Well, we are governed by the Open Meetings Act as well, which is where we said this is always open to the citizens to see how the process goes. We're not trying to hide anything.
No.
Good.
I'm just asking.
One thing that CMP likes to preach, and one thing that we've been preaching about oversight commissions, besides them being independent, is that we like the idea of police interactions being viewed through the scope of racism. Racism is baked into the police. It's a matter of fact. And that is not one of the kind of guidelines that this current commission has. And so I'm kind of curious if you have any thoughts on how race will be viewed when you're looking at these reports, and how just the institutional racism.
So again, like I said, any issues that come across our site, our laps, our table, we're going to deal with them just like we know every case is different. Every complaint is going to be different, and it has to be dealt with that. It has to be dealt that way. I personally don't think that a boilerplate solution will apply to every case. We're going to take each case serious as it comes through. We'll talk through it. And then we'll come up with the most viable solution at that time to make sure that everyone's voice is actually heard, that no one is like really passed over, and that's our hopes. That's my hope anyway. I can't speak for the rest of the commission, but it's my hope to make sure that every voice is actually heard and that there is some sort of resolution that can put that person whole again.
Fantastic. I completely understand. Now, the last big question I have before I want the community, and maybe Carlos and Betty would have another question, before I want the community to start asking their questions, comes down to one of the tasks that the commission has is to think about thoughtful policy. And that's a wide scoping thing. One things that CNP has had issues with is the reporting complaint process. No one wants to go to the police station to file a report. It is nice that you can file a report now outside the police station, but we think the idea of anonymous complaints is a very helpful thing because a lot of people fear retaliation, retribution for speaking out. And so I hope that the commission really puts that to heart and thinks about that, because the only way you're really going to stay busy is if people file complaints. And the only way people are going to be able to file complaints is if they feel that it's a safe system for them to raise their voice. And, you know, up until last year, Carlos, Betty, please correct me, they had to go to the police station, or they had to go and put it in the little box right outside City Hall. I feel if I was going through, or I had a terrible experience with the police, last place I want to go is somewhere where government officials are walking around with guns. And
Right.
So to me, I really do hope that the commission makes this a priority to really think about this and how to build a more thoughtful policy around filing complaints. You know, your feeder.
Well, it's a new commission. We have a lot of good people on the commission, and I am very positive in the way that it is going to go. And I believe that everyone else will see, once things start to get rolling, that they'll also be positive and hopeful in the same way that I am now.
Thank you. Carlos, Betty?
Yeah, two things. I haven't had a chance to look at what their responsibilities will be as looking over complaints to giving them legitimacy or just deeming them frivolous against the police department. But I'm more concerned is what kind of advisory capacity they will have in light of the police union and in light of the background where in Evanston, we have not had successful any kind of dialogue with the police officers as far as involving in the community about things that adversely affect us. That seems to be, as we're told, there's no need for a civilian review board in Evanston. The commission will take over that responsibility. I don't know what powers you will have, advisory or recommendation. And before I can make any kind of judgment, whether those are good people on the commission or not, I'll have to see what are you dedicated to do and what are you legally allowed to do, to make mainly just opinions, or is there any kind of effective way that you can change situations where people have gotten no response or negative response from their complaints over excessive period of time?
I would hope that at this point you won't judge us just yet and give us an opportunity to actually show you what we can and what we will do. Again, like all that is coming forth. I'm not looking to hide anything. And so I say, give us a chance. And, you know, I think that everyone will be thoroughly happy and satisfied. And it's not to make light of what happened in the past, but again, because there are some things, there are some issues that still need to be worked out, you know, then we try different solutions, right? If the past solutions didn't work before, then we try something different. And so that's what we're doing now. We're trying something different. But again, I'm encouraged. I think that this, going forward in the future, that we can get a lot of good work done.
I hope so, because in the past we were given a commitment that we could sit in on the training sessions with the police by the city manager and the chief, but yet they never got back to us about the training, and our inquiries have not been responded to in any timely fashion. So yeah, I hope that this is a new day and that we could get together to work on this commission to make a better police environment for all the citizens of Evanston. And I'll withhold judgment till I see what it is. I'm really concerned, though, that they do not effectively represent all of Evanstonians. I would prefer people who were elected or chosen from each ward rather than appointed by the mayor, but I'll just withhold all that judgment to see what happens. Thank you.
I appreciate
have
that.
one last question. And did you read the report that the committee, that there was a committee that was formed to look at and come up with what the new oversight review board would look like? Did you read those recommendations or anything? Although they wasn't accepted, but they was good.
I haven't had the opportunity to read all that.
Okay. That's my last question for right now.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna throw a hard one at you. Are you familiar with the Evanston Police Gang Database?
I can't say that I'm personally with EPD I am, but I am familiar with similar databases.
Okay. In Evanston, we seem to have issues with it where people aren't notified when they've been put on. There's no real process to be removed from it. It would be interesting, as you see cases, to inquire if this person is on their gang database to see if that influenced the use of force on them or whatever the reason of the complaint is. But I just wanted to put that out there. I would like to take some questions from the community. Particularly if there is any Fourth Ward residents that are on this call right now. You can use that fancy, chat box down below to put in your questions. Yeah, so please go ahead and do that. If you're not from Fourth, you can still put in a question. We want to answer everyone's questions. We do have one from Jersey, and he was wondering if you had seen Mr. Trent Hunt's Snapchat video, I guess, of his being tackled by the police. Are you familiar with that case?
I have seen that video, yes.
Do you know if that's a case that you'll be hearing?
I don't know that as of yet.
Okay. Now, and this might be personal, but could you tell us, you had a conversation with the mayor about this application, correct?
I had a few talkings with him.
Was there anything insightful that you could tell us about his thought process when he was picking the commissioners?
No, I don't know that I can really speak on what his thought process was. I do think that he was thinking of thinking to make sure that there were a lot of different perspectives on the board, but I couldn't tell you exactly what his thought process was. That's like a question for the mayor.
No, of course. But to me, it's more when I get interviewed every now and then, I kind of, my ears get perked because of a certain question they ask where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought someone would ask that. So I'm just kind of curious if any of those kind of situations came up where you're like, oh, that's an interesting question to ask. Nothing good. Okay. So we do have a question from Melissa. She's a Fourth Ward resident, and it was in reference to a question that Jersey had asked, which is, racism is real, And we would hope that you'd be willing to call out racism that you would see within your own commission or the cases that are brought upon your commission. Are you someone who's willing to raise your hand and say this is wrong?
I'm always willing to, I mean, that's just part of my career, right? To speak about what's wrong and to make sure that rights are given, that they're not violated. And I don't plan to stray from what my everyday mission is.
And with that said, being a lawyer, do you think that brings you a unique skill set to this review commission?
I think it gives me a different perspective. Before I'm a lawyer, I'm also a citizen of Evanston. I'm also a person of color. I'm also a woman. So I think that I have a lot of different perspectives that I can bring to the table, not just due to the fact of my law. I have seen a lot of different things going on, you know, throughout my cases. But, you know, I think that there are many more things as well that helps to bring different perspectives to the table.
Absolutely. Questions from, Jared has a question, and it is the committee aware of the power to challenge and overturn decisions and findings by the police chief? My understanding is you are just a review board and you don't actually have the power to push back on anything. I'm correct on that assumption, right?
We are a review board, and you know, like I said again, we haven't met to say exactly what's going to happen from day to day. Each issue, each complaint is going to come by. It's going to be different, but again, all this will be revealed in each meeting that's open to the public.
So just to kind of reiterate, if you feel that there's a decision that the board, the commission majority disagrees with, you feel that maybe it would be in the board's or the commission's place to make a stance and make those claims. That you
I'm not speaking
Yeah.
on behalf of the board at all. I can't
course,
say
yeah.
what every other member of the board would do, nor would I even attempt to do so. We have our particular mission that we're looking to accomplish, and I'm encouraged that we are going to accomplish those missions, and we're going to do it in a transparent way.
Understandable. There is a hot topic question in the chat that might be a little too hot for you to touch, and that is talking about defunding the police. Are you paying attention to what's going on in Evanston regarding that?
Paying attention to what's going on in Evanston as well as the rest of the world.
Are you willing to give your own opinions on it?
Not at this time.
Understandable. All right. Any other questions from the community? Betty, Carlos, Deneen?
I was reading the questions in the chat, and one of the questions seemed kind of concerned because person wanted to know her mostly male and the white peers. Are they talking about, I guess that came from Jerry. Jersey, are you talking about the people on the committee or the people in her work arena? Turn on his mic so I can hear. Couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I can't really hear you, Jersey.
How's this? Can you all hear me?
Much better.
Much better.
Miss Betty, are you talking about my question regarding mostly white and male colleagues? Yeah, so I just wanted to know what her sort of plan was to navigate and sort of resituate community demands and integrity when maleness and whiteness prevails traditionally in commissioner settings. And so I just want to know her outlook on how that sort of space will be navigated, and what sort of resources or support does she have as a minority in that space?
Well, the committee is made up of, I think it is more male than female on the committee. It sometimes seems like we always are outnumbered in that category, but all of the commissioners are African American.
Yep.
So she
And
wouldn't be sitting at the table with anyone white. But
sure,
to the question as
yeah.
to the male ego and authoritative, want to be in charge and everything, how are you going to navigate that?
Sure. And I also want to say that while whiteness may not be prevalent in that specific space, right? We know that folks that are not white, right, and men of color, and also white women have done the work of white supremacy, and so I'm trying to understand what strategies will be used to undo, right, prevailing white supremacy in those spaces, regardless of color. And I'm mostly speaking from what Neil touched on earlier, which is the code of silence, right? That we know is consistent across race. Commissioner, if you could answer.
So again, I can't say what we're going to be confronted with this early on. We're going to take each complaint to heart and serious to make sure that we resolve it in the best way possible. I couldn't tell you what my plan is now or what resources I'm going to actually allocate towards that complaint, not at this time. But as time goes on, as the commission goes on, all that will be revealed. And and so I hope to address each issue with my own zealousness. And I don't speak for my the members that's on the commission with me, but we have a good group of people, and that hopes to move not only the commission, not only the police, but the entire community in a more positive direction.
Thank you. So Jeff, you asked about the bios. The bios, Dear Evanston has some great bios for every single one of the commissioners on their website. We will also link that on our CMP Facebook page so you can review that. If there are no other questions, I think we're going to start to wind down. I would like to thank everyone. Oh, we do have one more question slides in right at the end from Austin. Does the commission have plans to hold outreach events to inform residents of the complaint process and duties of the board? This is a good question because this is something that the CNP has kind of been pushing city council on since the board or since the city council passed this ordinance. It's been 6 months of silence. And so, we've been squawking about it, but we really hadn't seen much from city council. So does the commission, I know you haven't met yet, but I'd put that on your to-do list maybe to try to encourage city council to hold events to inform people of what your duties are and of the process to file complaints. While the complaint process in general hasn't changed, there are some new advantageous changes to it, which are not having to file it at the police station. So making people aware of that would be important. I'm sure you agree to that. So with that said, if no one else has any questions, I think we're going to wind down this event. I would like to thank everyone for showing up.